Hello and welcome to my second video of my video blog series. So today we are talking about the do's and don'ts of wedding planning. So I'm going to try and keep this within 15 minutes today because I also want to upload it over to Instagram, and it doesn't let me upload videos over 15 minutes, which I realised last week. So I've got till about 2:50, so I'm not going to go waffling on too much like I usually do. So let's just wait a few seconds to make sure if anyone's going to join us. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. Mine was fairly quiet until yesterday afternoon, evening. I had a slightly traumatic experience where a fly, well, I can only assume it was a fly, just flew literally straight into my mouth and down my throat. Hi Bridget, thanks for watching. So that was quite a traumatic experience. But luckily I was on my way to the pub and I washed it down with a glass of wine. So there we go. Hopefully everything's all okay now. Hi Gabby, thanks for watching. Right, okay, so let's get started because as I said, we don't have much time today. So the first thing I want to mention is when I tell people I'm a wedding planner, kind of one of their first kind of questions, especially if they're planning a wedding, is what are the do's and don'ts of planning a wedding? So I could literally talk about this for over an hour because there's so much to cover. So I've kind of picked my top 5, which we'll discuss today. So the first one is to keep track of your budget. So people tend to, when they're first planning a wedding, think of the big things, the expensive items. So your venue, for example, can take up a lot of your budget. However, the smaller things can add up as well. So I would put together a budget before you even, start booking any venues or suppliers, just so you know you've got everything that you need listed. And then when you're getting quotes, obviously if you hire a wedding planner, they will do this on your behalf. But just get an idea when you start getting quotes of how much things cost, especially if you don't have any idea. And then you can start to work out how much you need to allocate for each thing, and to make sure you don't go way over your budget as well. So like I said, I am going to go through these quite quickly. So if you have any questions about each one, just put them in the comments below and I'll make sure I answer your questions. And so then the final bit really I'm going to talk about budget is that obviously the more guests you have, then the more money, the more it's going to cost you. So not just in terms of venue, you'll need a larger venue, you'll need to buy more meals, obviously drinks, and also when you think about your on the day stationery, so you'll need more name places, you'll need more tables, potentially order of services, all that type of thing that people do tend to forget about. So my second point, and this kind of links into the first one about budget, is don't compromise on the things that are important to you. So I really want to stress this because people tend to think, oh, it's a wedding. Hang on, I'm just going to move my computer screen because I can see myself on my Facebook page, so it's a bit off-putting. Think about the things that are important to you. Just because you've been to another wedding or other people that have got married and they may have spent more money on certain things, think about what it is that's important to you and the things you don't want to negotiate on. So I always use flowers as an example for this because, you can spend thousands of pounds on flowers at weddings, but if you're not really that into flowers, there are ways you can reduce that cost. So artificial flowers, dried flowers are really popular at the moment. There's those options that can help reduce the cost down. And if you're not a big fan of flowers, then why would you spend a massive part of your budget on that? It's the same with food. So, I love my food. Food would be a complete non-negotiable for me. That would be one of the most important parts of the wedding day. So making sure I have the right caterers and the right food there. I would potentially spend more on that than some other things. So when you're thinking about your budget, when you're putting your budget together, maybe star the things that are non-negotiable to you and that you would spend more money on. Okay, so how are we doing? We're doing okay for time. So point 3 is do spend time finding a stationery designer that you love. Now, your save the date or your wedding invite, if you don't send a save the date, will be the first glimpse of your wedding that your guests will get. So it's the start of the journey, really. So I'm not saying you need to, again, spend loads on this, but I know a lot of people, they may just find something quickly on, Etsy, design something themselves for a save the date card. But then when they go to their invites, they may want to find a different design and it's not really consistent throughout. And the reason I say this is not really because of the save the date and invites. It's when you get closer to the wedding and you're thinking about your table plans and your welcome signage and your order of services and all those type of things, your on the day stationery. If you haven't spent that time earlier on finding a design or a concept that you like and you love and that matches the kind of theme and styling of your wedding day, then you may struggle a little bit closer to the time, and then it'll just add to the stress levels, which we all want to reduce. Try and find time to find stationery that you really love, because it makes it easier closer to the wedding. Hi Jenny, thanks for watching. Right, which number are we on now? Number 4. So do schedule in some alone time with your new husband or wife. So I organised a Jewish wedding back in the summer, and this was part of the Jewish tradition that I really loved, and I think everyone should adopt. So they actually have to schedule in time, just the two of them in a room. They have a glass of champagne, and this happens after the ceremony and before the kind of drinks reception, just to kind of take everything in, just have that moment together. Because I don't know about you, but if you know anyone that's got married, sometimes they'll say, oh, I didn't even speak to my new husband during the wedding. And, you may have loads of guests, you may have family and friends you haven't seen for years. So, and it just goes, so quickly. So just scheduling in that time. It doesn't need to be 15 minutes. It could be 5 minutes, but just having that time. And also, especially because this is easier if you get married kind of in a church and then you have to make your way to the wedding reception. You tend to have that time anyway, because you're probably in a car together and you can have that glass of champagne and everything there. But just making sure you schedule in that time just to kind of savour the moment. And just have that special time between the two of you on your wedding day. So the final one, and I am doing okay for time, I got 5 minutes, yay! Don't forget to enjoy yourself. That might be an obvious one, but the whole reason I set up this business was to help reduce the stress and anxiety and overwhelm that brides and grooms can get before their wedding, in the run up to the wedding day, and they don't always enjoy the day as much as they should because they're worried about things. They're worried that things won't go right. They worry whether their guests are having a good time. They worry about the food, all that kind of thing. So remember to enjoy yourself. Obviously, I can't tell you to get a wedding planner, but if you do hire a professional, whether it's myself, whether it's someone else, even if it's just to coordinate the day, then you know you've got that professional on hand to deal with problems throughout the day. And if there are any issues, then you won't know about it because you'll just be off enjoying yourself, knowing that someone else has got everything under control. So that's it. That's my 5 do's and don'ts for planning a wedding. Like I said, if you want to discuss any of those points in more detail, you've got any questions, just pop the questions in the comments below, or feel free to reach out if you want to chat through anything, not on Facebook or Instagram. And let me just see if there's anything else I need to add. Nope, that's about it. So I will be with you. Thanks, Jenny. I'll be with you again next week with another topic. So if you want to find out more about me, just head over to my website, which is carolynlouiseweddings.co.uk, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.